for tuning into another episode of The Legacy. I'm Kia, your favorite inspirationalist, and I'll be hosting this week's episode. Hey! Deep breath. Don't that feel good?
Exhale. We've been waiting to exhale.
We're going to start doing that. For those that are live, you know we're going to be talking about autism. Autism Awareness Month is coming up, and we are ahead of the game, and we have a wonderful guest. I'll get into who she is. But before I do that...
Hey, everybody. This is Jasmine, your divine diva.
And it's Lexi, your expert in evolution.
Yay! And guys, we also have our guest. Our guest today, her name is Shamica. And before I let Shamica say hey, you say hey.
I did. I'm a little shy, but I'll come out the show.
That's okay. Yeah.
You
with us and
just in the beginning.
Just stay woke. Guys,
stay woke like a weight.
Right. Because we are live, and if they see you not, it's going to show. But guys, just to give you a little bit of background, Shamica and I, we used to work together, so we were work friends, and it has always been one of those relationships where if you don't see each other, you don't talk to each other all the time, the connection is still there. It's always been like that. It is a genuine relationship. It is a sisterhood, and she's always just been 100% since I've known her. She is a wonderful mom to 5 amazing kids, and she'll get into her story about herself and her children. She is a wife, and I think the new thing for me that I didn't know is that she is really passionate about autism, right? And she has a story behind it, which I didn't even know that until a few weeks ago. So, Shamica, I'll let you further introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm a little shy right now, but I'll get out the show.
That's fine.
So this is just a sensitive topic for me, but it's something that I'm really passionate about. It started years ago, but I wasn't as educated as I am now as to what autism is, coping mechanism, not only for my son that has it, but also for myself. And I think for a year now I've been working with autistic children, so it kind of just dug something else up in me, and just watching them, seeing a difference in the autistic disorder, and just working around some amazing people that I work with in the school, and just life, all my experiences that I went through in life, and being a young mom with 5 kids, and trying to juggle being a mom, working, have a little hustle on the side, being a wife, and just everything that falls under the umbrella of a woman mainly. So right now I'm trying to basically get myself out there and just speak about something I'm passionate about for anybody that's willing to listen, and also for those who's in my shoes and don't know where to start, don't know the support or the resources that's out there, who maybe... Unfortunately, it's nothing to be ashamed of, but sometimes we are ashamed, especially when you're a young parent and you notice something different in your child. You don't want to admit it. So just accepting it and just trying to find different ways to deal with it, having support from family, friends, and just, being able to get through it.
Right. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give the written definition of what autism is, because I was very ignorant to it. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation about it. But AutismSpeaks.com says autism or autism spectrum disorder refers to the broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. So some people may be like, oh, that kid is weird, or that child is different, and I think our language needs to change. So that's why it's important that we have this conversation. And I want to just quickly go over some quick stats. So Shamica, on the show, we kind of do something called like a girl did you know. It's either maybe something that just happened in the culture or something that you just have absolutely no idea about, but it's the importance of to make sure that we're all abreast on what's going on. So one of the stats that I found is it says and you probably will even touch on these, 1 in 59 children have autism. 44% of children with autism spectrum disorder have average to above average intellectual abilities. So we got some geniuses. Parents who have a child with ASD, is what they're calling it, have a 2 to 18% chance of having a second child who is also affected. Another girl, did you know, is ASD is about 4 times more common among boys than among girls.
It is.
Does any of that sound true?
It does. So I don't want to speak too much on the medical standpoint of it, but I do know from experience and just learning a little bit about autism that it is like a 3-to-1 ratio.
Wow.
3 boys versus 1
girl. What would you say your definition is? I mean, that was textbook definition. What is autism?
Autism can be, to me, from just looking at it face value, it can be like a learning delay. It can be just being socially uncomfortable, having obsessive disorder. Wow. It can be used in a crowd of people, just feel like you're the only one inside of that room, inside of the world. They view things differently. They're a little bit more detailed. They go with patterns. A lot of the time, they go with patterns. They also organize scheduling. Very important to them. Any change, any shift, throw them off guard. Also, I don't think a lot of us know this, but autism in girls are very different than boys. Girls have more of the mutation for autism. So what you'll see in a girl with autism versus a boy can be totally different. And I feel like each kid having autism is also different. It might be an emotional thing. It might be social. It's different. Like the way they express it, You don't want to just put them in a box and say you have autism, so you act this way, this way, this way. That's just not what it is.
Or diagnose it.
Exactly.
And the other thing is, so in boys, what I just found out, I found this out probably about 6 months ago. So boys are more likely to develop the autism mutation from a mother who has no sign of autism. So more than likely, if it's a boy with autism, he got it from his mother that does not have that mutation at all.
You know what? I actually was hearing that a lot of it is genetics, and I heard years ago people used to think that kids got it from like the immunization. Like, have you guys ever heard that?
Like, I think it was measles or something.
I don't know.
MMR.
I've heard that too. And working in a healthcare facility and an advocate for vaccines and stuff like that, because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen what not getting a vaccine can do, and I've seen what getting a vaccine can do. I really don't know too much of that in depth, and I wouldn't say yes.
Correct.
Or
because there has not been any firm thing that tell me this is exactly why. And I feel like if it really was because of injections, more kids would have it. And I personally know some people whose children have autism who never got their children vaccinated. So I think it's more so a mutation gene. And I also feel like God creates you the way he sees fit. So this may just be the way you were supposed to be created. You know?
Wow.
Yes,
go ahead,
and
Lex. I'm sorry, Sonny, you had a question.
No. I was going to say, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to all of these different diagnoses, that's at the basis of it. So once you identify or acknowledge, not ignoring that it may exist or whatever particular signs, like get in front of it and ask the questions. I can recall when I was expecting with Camille and they were questioning me about running different tests and things like that. I was like, listen, if you find this out while I'm pregnant, is there anything you can do right now? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, so what you're not going to do is stress me out during this pregnancy. We'll get this baby here, and whatever we have, that is what we'll handle.
Go
ahead, you go. You were going to say something.
I wanted to kind of add to that about so in our community, not only culturally, but also just your background, you know, when you see something wrong with a child, you think like, oh, you don't want to label the child. So it's more so of you as a parent distinguishing I'm not labeling my child. Mm-hmm. I'm more so getting my child the help that they need.
Get them on the right track.
Correct.
Right.
What are some of the signs that parents maybe can look for in a child that may have autism?
Responses, and if your child is 12 months, at least like a year, and you're calling their name and they're not responding to it, then that can be a sign. Mm-hmm. Also, facial, like what they display on their face sometimes. If your child is like pinched or something, sometimes it may be a delayed reaction, the way they smile. Sometimes it's separation, the way they go away in a corner and just rather be by themselves. Loud noise too. If you're like, if they're in a room and it's like so much going on, it's loud noise, and you see them uncomfortable, that may also be it. And little things like you'll see them rocking, sensory disorder, pulling their hair, pinching their hair, wanting to squeeze and stuff like that is ways to recognize.
Any particular test screenings or things that a parent should get done if they're starting to see those signs?
Okay, so this is where I'll probably get in on life experience.
Okay.
As far as this.
Nope, that's perfectly fine.
When my son was in kindergarten, right out. So rewind it. When he was a baby, he never really cried. He never really cried for anything unless he was hungry and stuff like that. He didn't really show emotions, like throw him up in the air. You know, kids would laugh.
Yeah,
He would give me a little smirk, but it was never So I saw things there, but I was young. I was 17. I'm like, nothing's wrong. So when he started kindergarten, I remember going to the school. Oh, sorry. Is it pushed in?
No, you good.
Oh, okay. I remember going to the school, and I remember his teacher saying she needed to talk to me. And he was always a really good kid, so I'm like, what could she want to talk to me about, whatever.
Right.
So when I had a conversation with her, she's like, you know, he's struggling here. I'm like, what is it? Is he not understanding the work? Like, what's going on? She's like, he's just socially different than the other kids. She couldn't really give me a diagnosis because she wasn't medical, but she noticed then that his facial expression was different than other kids. He would kind of distance himself, and even though she was speaking to him in plain language, he wouldn't understand certain things. Like, for instance, she would tell me, I'll say, put this in a garbage pail. Now, we know garbage pail is also a trash can, right? He couldn't distinguish just what it was. He couldn't associate it with each other.
Before you go any further in school, what was the experience like at home before she brought that to your attention? Like, as a parent.
Like, was you irritated? Like, I done told you 5
5 times, and he's in the trash.
And that's the thing. No. I was so young that I was just trying to take care of him, and then I had a child that was a year younger than him. So it was like more so I didn't see it. I don't know if I was just too young to realize it, or if I never really heard autism.
Right. Knew what to look for.
Right. And she still never said that's what it was because she couldn't. So after she told me that, I'm like, he's okay. Like, maybe, you know, it's too much noise going on, but I'm just thinking he's just shy, you know? This
shy.
is not what that is. I'm like, he's just shy, you know?
Yeah.
It's just me, him, and his brother. He's not used to it. It's too much going on. And I remember he would cry every time I dropped him off, and they told me half the day he would just really, really cry. And I'm like, whatever. He's just going through.
He just no separation anxiety.
Yes, it went on.
Kid.
It went on for about 3 months of him going to the school. It went on for 3 months, and still I never thought nothing of it. So as he got like 5, 6, I started noticing other things. Like, he was just always sad. He was obsessed with whatever it was at the time that he clung to. And a lot of things didn't affect him in a way it affected the other kids. So I started noticing stuff then, but I thought it was because his father wasn't around at the time, not for no other reason. He just couldn't be around. And I felt like he was just being depressed at the moment.
Right, he was
so
sad.
I took him to therapy.
That was his reaction.
Right, I took him to therapy, and they told me, oh, no, he's just dealing with separation disorder.